Hi, listeners. Welcome back to the Digestible Podcast, where we give you all the health and wellness information you need in an amount of time that your busy day can handle. I am Staci Seed, here with my sister Melissa Hoffman, aka Missy, as we like to call her. And today we have a great topic for you, creatine. It's like all
Yes,
the buzz.
it is.
Everyone's talking about creatine.
Yeah.
And so, Missy, who's going to tell us about creatine today?
Well, Stacy, we have invited back Kevin Finnegan because he was here earlier to talk about how to shop for supplements, effective, safe, good quality supplements. And this time we invited him back to talk about creatine. Kevin, to remind our listeners, has been working in the dietary supplement industry for over 15 years. He holds a master's degree in kinesiology with a bachelor's degree in physiology and chemistry. He is a senior medical consultant with Zymogen, which is a leader in science-based nutraceuticals dedicated to providing high-quality, innovative formulas that support integrative medicine and patient health. So if you've had questions about creatine, if you should take it, what it can do, how to take it, when to take it, this is the episode for you. Enjoy.
Hi, Kevin. Welcome back to the podcast by popular demand.
Thank you. Thanks, Stacy.
We've had a lot of people ask for you to come back, and we have a really important and hot topic, I think, to discuss today.
For sure.
So let's talk about creatine.
Okay.
What is creatine? Let's start with that.
Yeah. So we can even go back to as far as 1832. So it's been around for a long time. Obviously, it's in our bodies, but like a French scientist founded in 1832. We finally found out in the early 1900s that what it does in the body, and it's actually comprised of 3 different amino acids: arginine, glycine, and methionine. And those there's a 2-step enzymatic process where it converts into phosphocreatine in the body, which are stored in our muscles and our brain and heart, bones. And the idea behind it is just it helps with energy conversion of ATP. So, right, the more creatine you have in your body, that'll give you the energy production through ATP to perform activity. And typically that activity is high intensity exercise and fast burst durations. So creatine in and known, we get it from dietary sources, right? We get it from amino acids. Typically the foods we get it from are meat, poultry, some pork. So you can get it, dietarily, and our bodies actually make it as well. And it's been around for a long time. It's one of the most researched supplements in the space.
I've heard
I would
that.
say besides caffeine, it's the second most researched in terms of an ergogenic aid during exercise and training. But most recently, we've been seeing it kind of pick up because more research keeps coming out and more patient populations have been looked at and for a variety of different conditions, whether it's females or whether it's elderly population, where before in the 90s and early 2000s was performance-based and exercise and athletes where they were trying to do most of their research. So long story short, creatine, it's converts into the body or it's stored in the body as phosphocreatine, and that helps with actually creating ATP, like your energy production within the cells to get out there and get moving.
So it only comes from meat sources, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we can't get it from plant sources, and even chicken doesn't have it a lot.
And what about fish?
Fish has it. Yeah, you're gonna get it from fish and meat.
Fish and meat.
Stacey's like, phew. Okay, so fish, pork, beef, mostly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly those ones. Yeah, I would say beef most, fish second, and then poultry third.
Right, and I've heard it's the most researched, and it really has very few side effects too, is from what I understand, right?
Yeah, I mean it's minimal side effects. In terms of people are usually worried about the kidneys, right? The kidneys, we actually make creatine in the kidneys, and then it gets converted in the liver to actually produce creatine, phosphocreatine. So our bodies are creating. In fact, the body creates almost 1 gram a day on its own.
Wow.
In a standard diet, we're getting between 0.3 to 1 grams, depending on how much meat and fish and poultry that you get.
How much meat would you have to eat if you were I'm just going to do it naturally? Would you have to eat meat all day?
You'd have to do probably 100 grams of protein throughout the day to get almost 3 grams worth, right? That 0.3 to 1 is typically anywhere between 30 to 50 grams of protein. And that's maybe 8 ounces total of your animal products.
So you could do it, but it sounds like it'd be really hard.
It's just a lot of material. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a lot of
Especially if
meat.
you're only getting it from fish, pork, and beef.
Correct,
Okay.
right. We get enough in a standard diet, in a standard omnivore diet, in the way the body produces it. You're getting about 1.5 to 2 grams a day, but the muscles actually have like 120 to 160 grams of storage potential in them. And you're
Oh,
also breaking it down every day as well. So it's like a constant, like, I need it for my body, I need to eat it, but I'm also breaking down 1 to 2 grams a day. So a typical diet doesn't have enough protein, or those who aren't supplementing with creatine, they're kind of not getting enough throughout their typical days. And that's where supplementation comes in.
Okay. This is sort of a complicated question, but
Yeah.
you said that you take creatine for like the bursts of energy. So for workouts,
Mm-hmm.
for example, but it sounds like if it's just about energy production and you need it anyway, then you really could be using it. It sounds like your body uses it for all kinds of functions. Is that
For
right?
the energy that you need, it's like, I need ATP for my muscles. I need ATP for my brain,
Yeah.
right? My heart needs ATP.
Right.
So when we have it in our body, we're utilizing it for that potential, like to keep energy production going on
Okay.
throughout all of our working organs.
so people want to take it for their muscle, like to build their muscles or keep their muscles, right? Like all the teenagers and athletes and young
Typically.
adults, they're doing it because they want to build the muscle.
And that's where we see the science mostly researched at first, right? 90s, 2000s research was all about creatine's impact on strength, endurance, and muscle growth. And that's what we saw. We saw when you were getting 3 to 5 grams per day of supplementation of creatine, that's where we saw robust improvements in like power. And we mean like 1 rep max or like 5 rep maxes, and people at the gym and able to do 10 to 15% more than what they could do without taking creatine on their own. And those who are doing high intensity interval training, sprint training, anything that's like fast movement or fast resistance training is going to yield more muscle. And that's where the hypertrophy kind of comes into play. There's not a lot of data on like taking the creatine and then substantially increasing lean tissue. It can help preserve muscle mass, but you're not going to get like a super physiological muscle increase by just taking creatine alone. The idea behind the creatine is it works to store phosphocreatine to increase energy, ATP, and that's going to translate into better opportunities for exercise in the gym or sprinting, and then your muscles are going to grow as a result.
All right, so you have to take the creatine and work out in order to build the muscle, or if you're middle-aged, like maintain your muscle mass.
That's the best way to kind of think about it for a majority of the population.
You can't just take it and be like, oh, my muscles are just going to grow and they're just going to stay strong. You have to work out and take it.
And so what it does, it actually increases intracellular water retention in the muscles. Like the muscles will kind of get bigger. And this is one of the, if you're like, what are the side effects of creatine? The number one thing is you're going to gain weight on it initially because it's actually going to increase intracellular water within the muscles to get the muscles bigger. Now that subsides over time, but that's probably the biggest thing that people notice. It's not like nausea, it's not like GI distress, it's not like kidney related issues. It's like your scale weight changes within a week. And that scares off some people and scares off a lot of women too, right? Women never want to be like, I want to take a supplement and now I weigh more. But that weight is actually a reflection of intracellular water in the muscles.
It's just water weight. It's not
It's just water weight, right?
Okay. And it doesn't stay?
It doesn't stay. It kind of levels out over a few weeks. We always kind of say, monitor hydration with it as well. And then if you're still like managing your calories, your caloric intake while you're exercising and training, you're gonna shed that fat, and that muscle becomes more metabolically active, right? The more muscle you have, the more fat you can potentially burn. But that's a side effect that nobody likes to see up front. It's like, I'm just heavier, I just look thicker, I'm retaining water. That's a short-term side effect, and as long as we're balancing electrolytes and hydration, it will go away.
Is that why some people like slowly dose up on the creatine, and they do they do 1 gram for like a week to start, and then they do 2, and then
and that's totally fine. It's totally fine. The most important thing. If people are supplementing with creatine, it's consistency over timing. It's the saturation in the cells of having proper phosphocreatine storage. Now, to get there, people have different ways to go about it. Some people are just like, I'm gonna do 1 gram for a week and then move up to 2 grams until I get to that 3 to 5 range. For the smaller people who aren't working out, I think 3 grams can be sufficient. For people who are a little bit bigger, more muscle already, bigger men, 5 grams is kind of the lower threshold. Now, that's kind of like the baseline that people need if they're looking to supplement with creatine and get all these benefits that are tied to it. But if you're looking to avoid the water retention side of it, yeah, 1, 2.5 maybe to start for women for a couple weeks. They can get up to 3, 4, maybe 5 by the end for a standard woman exercising and training. That will decrease the potential of water retention in the body.
Okay. So if you don't care about the little fluctuation of the scale, you can start out at 3 grams, but just know that you might put on a couple pounds of water weight. So are there different kinds of creatine that you can take?
You can definitely take different kinds of creatine, but I would really only recommend one. You know, there's different forms of creatine. There's creatine HCl, there's creatine ethyl esters, there's buffered versions and magnesium chelate creatines. And for just the research purposes, for ease in the body, it's creatine monohydrate. It's just, that's the version that people are looking at and measuring, and safety profiles and absorption.
I just saw creatine gummies the other day. I don't know where I was in some store, and they're like, creatine gummies. I'm like, huh.
Sure.
Okay.
And
they turn anything into a gummy.
Yeah, and those gummies may be creatine monohydrate, but they may have other fillers in there as well. It's not as necessary for the delivery form. For me, it's as long as it's from a recognized manufacturer and third-party verified, and you can get the certificate of analysis. But the creatine monohydrate form, that would be my... If you're going to do creatine, you want to make sure that it's a creatine monohydrate form.
Okay.
Now, there is a company that I really recommend, their form of creatine. It's from the Alzchem chemical company in Germany. And they make a creatine called CreaPure, CreaPure. They have a patent on the way that they manufacture it and their bioavailability and sustainability and the way they just utilize a lot better in the body. A lot of companies use this. A lot of supplement brands will use CreaPure, but my recommendation for people who are supplementing with creatine, make sure it's creatine monohydrate. And if you can check to see if it's CreaPure, right? There's just a little like icon that they have somewhere on the bottle or on their website. That'll ensure that you're just getting a really high quality version of creatine monohydrate.
Great.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
So anywhere between 3 to 5 grams, and we want the creatine monohydrate, preferably CreaPure, if we can get our hands on it.
Now that's talking like that's the area of good research, long-term benefits for men and women, vegans for older populations, right? For people who are exercising at a high capacity. But most recently, the past 2-3 years, there's been a lot of tick up on other things that creatine can do. And I think that's why the conversation recently has popped back up on creatine, is what can it do for the brain? What can it do for the bones? What's the extra data that keeps coming out there? And that's where we're getting kind of excited about creatine.
I didn't know it did something for the brain and the bones. I thought it was just about building muscle.
Yeah. So now we're seeing everybody take creatine because it's got... Kevin, you tell us all the brain stuff.
No. Yeah, and that's what people are probably asking more about it, right? There's like, I saw somebody on social media talk about creatine doing this. There's definitely good introductory research on a lot of benefits associated with like sleep deprivation, traumatic brain injury. If there's those who are any head injuries, concussions, of course. There still needs to be better research about Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, right? There's just repeated clinical trials need to kind of pop up more. But that doesn't mean that there's not potential to have more neurological areas of research to support. But initially, sleep, some focus, memory, any kind of head injury, we're seeing some good results with supplementation. However, there's a caveat. The dosing is a lot different than what we're talking about with like 3 to 5 grams. The
Oh,
muscles are the first things that take up creatine. The muscles are greedy. So think of it like this. The muscles are like super greedy. They're like, I need to work. I need more energy. And so they take up like 95% of the phosphocreatine stores in the body.
Mm.
And then the next is like brain, bone, heart, and testes in men. So you need to fully saturate your muscles first. And then they're like, okay, we're fully saturated. We go on to something else. Then it goes to the brain, then the bone, then the heart, then the testes. It's kind of like, so that 95% of the creatine stores are in the muscle. And then the 5% extra are in like the brain, the bone, and then the heart.
That's interesting.
I'm writing this down.
You think
Okay,
it'd be
brain,
the other way
bone,
around,
heart,
but okay.
Yeah.
testes
No.
for men,
Yeah.
no reproductive organs for women.
No reproductive organs. In fact, there's no
Okay.
like hormonal effects. There's no androgenic
Okay.
effects in creatine. Like men and women can be taking it and get the same responses. Again, the dosing is usually very similar. It's not exact for everybody, but like that 3 to 5 gram sweet spot is like, that's going to get you enough for like the muscle saturation.
Okay, so
But-
how much do you need to get it to the brain?
It's like 15, maybe 20 grams.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was
Yeah.
thinking,
But at
here I
that-
am taking my 5 grams.
At that point,
my
you wanna
muscles
do
in my
it-
brain.
At that point, do you want to be doing it under the supervision of a doctor? Because is there concern with the kidneys? If you're
There's not, and in fact, the only real measurement that will demonstrate that you're taking creatine is when your creatinine levels are elevated during testing. And all that tells you is actually you're breaking down creatine in the body. That actually has any detrimental effects on the kidneys. There's been repeated data points to say it is the safety profile for the kidneys. In fact, our kidneys are making creatine anyway, so it doesn't have any extra. Now, if somebody's concerned, I would say go off of it for like a month before you're testing to see how well your kidneys are functioning on their own.
right.
If somebody has some kind of underlying kidney disease or history of kidney issues, I would say talk to your doctor first, right?
Okay.
See where you're at, and like you don't maybe need to go to that 15 to 20, but even patients doing 15 to 20 grams long term, they're not seeing any kidney related issues.
So if you're taking that high of a dose, and I guess this ties into another question I have, like, are you taking it all at once? Or are you spreading that out?
Yeah, this is a really good question. So the answer is, why are you taking the 20 grams? If you're taking it for long-term health, brain support, cognition, memory, you can spread out the dose. You can spread out the
Okay.
dose. You can do 5 grams 4 different times a day. The consistency with creatine is what matters. Now,
Okay.
if you're taking it because of like concussions, TBIs, jet lag, there's huge data on like jet lag. That's where
Oh.
you would do like 20 gram doses all at once, or doing a
Wow.
heavy dose for like sleep deprivation as well, like taking it before you go to bed. If you are not, sleeping well and you're sleep deprived, take a big dose of it at once.
Wow.
And that's where like you can play around with these doses. It's not as though doing 20 every single day is something you have to do if your gains aren't specific for like brain health. If your gains are like, I want, muscle health, I want to like, feel good, muscle strength, lose weight, I want to be more active when I'm like training, but I also want some brain stuff with there. You can do the 3 to 5 grams consistently and then drop in the 20 grams when you need it for like brain specific reasons. Like you have a headache, sleep deprivation, jet lag, that's when you take your 20 grams.
That's a fun little one. Stacy, Beth, and I were both like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, jet lag. That's great."
I know.
Yeah.
I'm totally taking notes. So for
Yeah.
those of us who are taking it mostly for our muscle maintenance or growth and development, there's a big debate in my house. Do we take it before we work out or after we work out?
Sure.
And does it matter?
Yes, good
Sure.
question.
Most important thing is consistency. Just having it. Take it. Be consistent with it. Right. Don't
Okay.
skip days
Okay.
when you're taking your creatine.
I put it in my first water, like that I have with my workout in the morning, and so because I don't drink a lot of water, and so I know I'm supposed to, so I know that I'm having that workout water, so I put it in my workout water, and so it's like while I'm working out, I'm drinking it.
Totally cool, right?
Okay.
And really, if you think about it, you're like, hey, my muscles need energy. I need during my workouts. So having it during your workouts, great. Having it before your workouts, great. Having it after might be a little bit better. And having it
Oh, I was
after
going to say, I
with-
put it in my post-workout smoothie. I dump
Good.
all my
Okay.
powders in there.
Okay.
Okay, woo, yay for me. Okay.
Okay.
Because actually, when you put it with a post-workout carbohydrate, right? Let's say there's a little protein, there's a little carbohydrate. you get the insulin response, and that insulin's going to shuttle in the creatine a little bit quicker to get it into the muscles. So
Awesome.
if you're trying to be perfect here in this situation, Staci, then yes, you're doing it right by taking it after your workouts, 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, with a little bit of protein, because that's going to help with muscle protein synthesis and mTOR activation to grow the muscle. And then a little bit of carbohydrates going to kind of shuttle it in there a little bit quicker. You get that insulin response.
I mean, I don't think anyone would call me a perfectionist by any means,
You
but
just,
I do
doing
like
it by
that I'm
yourself.
doing
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Awesome.
doing it right already.
Very cool.
Yeah. But again, consistency over timing. If you're splitting hairs, sure, after your workout's probably going to be the best spot, but it's not a requirement. If you miss it, just make sure you're doing it daily to get that 3 to 5 grams in there.
Okay, great.
And it doesn't matter if it's like mixed in a caffeine drink or
Well,
in a protein smoothie.
You're right about that. Actually, caffeine, you kind of want to stay away from doing it with caffeine. There is some competition with caffeine that I would really kind of avoid if possible. I forget like the chemical pathway that it'll just kind of compete with, but I do feel like if you can avoid it with your caffeine, it's going to be okay.
Okay.
Now with the protein or carbohydrates, that's going to be a lot better.
Okay. So taking it with protein and carbohydrates versus with just
Yeah,
like water.
It's negligible.
Okay.
Right? You could take it with water. You can take it by itself.
Okay.
If you're doing it around a workout, muscular training, high intensity stuff, try to take it with a little bit of protein and a little bit of carbohydrates after.
Okay.
That seems to be a sweet spot.
Okay.
But again, not a substantial difference if you just taken it with water before. I think a lot of people just don't have enough muscle. I'm a big proponent of just muscle and what it does
Right.
to the body, right? It
Okay.
increases metabolic rate. It's more metabolically active, so you have potential to burn. And just thinking about like bone structure and immune health and decreased risk of like falling, with more muscle on the frame. So I just like having it, right? There's a huge relationship with like morbidity risk and like muscle strength, right? Like the grip strength testing, they demonstrate those who have better grip strength have a lower chance of mortality and morbidity. So for me, I'm just like, I like people to be stronger. And to do that, you need to gain muscle. So for anybody on really any program, it's hard to gain muscle. It's
Right.
the consistency to do that, the heavy training, the amount of food you have to take. With the older we get, the less anabolic hormones that we are producing within our body. So for anybody on a general program, I do feel creatine can be beneficial because it can jump up your muscle. It'll help the increase in hypertrophy, more muscle, and actually therefore help the strength gains as well.
Okay.
And that's where you get all the
It's
secondary
like one of those
benefits.
win-win things. Just do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We can't supplement our way out of a bad diet, right? And a bad training program.
Right. You told us
So
that
Right.
last time. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
those
that.
core components to people eating well and sleeping well and exercising that needs to be the pillars, right? And learning, what responds best to your body.
Right.
And then a supplement on top of that, absolutely.
Excellent.
And I just don't feel we can get creatine from our foods.
Okay.
I for sure can't.
I know. Yeah.
If I'm eating fish like 3 times a week.
I still find it challenging, and I eat beef sticks and eggs and add cottage
Yeah.
cheese and
It's
Greek
not
yogurt.
in eggs, is it?
and-
Is it in eggs?
No.
Okay.
Creatine
It's
isn't?
animal
No. So-
Right.
animal meat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
meat and
thinking of
fish
protein.
mostly.
I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I
That's
love
a whole
cottage
other
cheese and
thing.
eggs. Yeah,
Yeah, so
but
meat
it's
and
like
eggs.
in
Okay.
chicken, it's easy to get, but you're just not getting there. So that's where the supplement side of things come in, right? I think the research associated with it has been really broad in terms of muscular and performance and training purposes, or for 25 years. And more recently, once you saturate the muscles, it'll yield more into the brain and bone side of things. But you got to saturate the muscles first, right? You got to
Okay.
get
Gotta
them. And that's
saturate
where
our muscles.
you got to get at least the 5 grams, and then we start jumping up into higher ranges.
Is most of the data done on men? Like most studies? Is most of it
used to be.
involving men?
Yeah, it used to be
Okay.
like college-age male athletes in their early 20s. But
Right.
now the data on I've seen more data on elderly populations than ever before. Like that's the most exciting research, is the neurological
With
and the
men
cognitive.
and women? Not
Men
just
and
men.
women.
Okay.
Men and women above 75. Like there's
Nice.
some high ranges of age groups that we haven't seen before.
Okay.
The Journal of the International Sports and Nutrition, the JISSN, has just did a huge meta-analysis earlier this year about like the safety profile of creatine, who can be taking it, And the answer was pretty much anybody from like teenager up.
I was
right?
going to say, can kids take it? Because some kids like in middle school are like, I want to start lifting weights. And so like, when is it okay?
When I was younger, high school athlete, 15, 16 years old, always looking for, what could make me faster, stronger, whatever it took. And creatine was a big thing. This is early 2000s, and a lot of buddies were taking creatine. So asked my mom if I was able to take it, and she told me no, right? And she didn't know anything about it. And so that led me into researching and finding out what it is and what it does and who can take it, and put together this little paper that I presented to my mom, who still said no.
She still said no?
Rightfully so, because the data wasn't on high school athletes, right? They didn't measure anybody who was 15 years old taking creatine. And she was right to say no. And since then, I've kind of been on like this quest to, see what works in the supplement world, in the nutrition, the exercise, trying to fine tune what's going to be best suited for me, and then, for hopefully others as well. So yeah, it all kind of led me here.
Your mom didn't realize it when she said no. She was like
joke's on
opening
her,
this
right?
whole world
It's
to
like,
you.
Right,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Here's the
Look
path
at me
you're
now,
on.
Mom. Yeah.
Meanwhile, are there studies on high school and 15-year-old boys
There are.
and girls
yeah,
now?
yeah.
Okay.
And more recently, studies have been coming out of that high school athlete age range, 14, 15 years old, upwards to like 18 or 19. And it's demonstrated that safety profiles are well within reason. These are still those who were, training. I think it wasn't on a general population, but it was more like a high school athlete data. But yeah, safety profiles are similar to we see in adults. I think, it hadn't been researched in women, it hadn't been researched in elderly or vegetarian populations, and now it is. And it's actually more important for them than like the male weekend warrior kind of guys who typically have been taking it. I just think, not enough animal protein, right? We're not working out, we're not getting enough muscle on frames of women and elderly, and vegetarians, they have a harder time to put on muscle as well. Like, they're going to get results probably better than a typical man would. So that's where we're really kind of excited to see the benefits associated with creatine in those population groups.
Okay.
Well, so what would you say to the skeptic? Like if someone's still on the fence out there, they're not quite sure, what would you say?
I would say it's one of the most well-researched supplements of all time. Like over 1,000 peer-reviewed journal articles, like published data demonstrating its safety profile. I think before it was always, it didn't have a wide range of people they were looking at for testing, right? It was only like a specific subset for energy, exercise, for college athletes. And now it's been looked at for a much wider net. And then it's okay, well, it's going to affect the kidneys. Well, actually, it's not. Great safety profiles on it, not affecting the kidneys. If you're worried about that, go off of it, measure creatinine levels, measure GFR, see where you're at, and you're really not going to see it. And unless there's kidney dysfunction already, then I would kind of monitor with a provider. But a generally healthy person, make sure you're staying hydrated, make sure you're just eating clean as well, and you can see that it's not going to affect the kidneys. And then it was just like, it was always for bodybuilders, right? It was always for like big athletes, giant guys. And it is not. It's like, we already have this stuff in our body. We get it from foods. It's derived from amino acids. And it definitely can help with increasing muscle, hypertrophy, strength gains. And then, once it goes fully saturated in the muscles, it's going to get into the brain, which everybody wants that, their brain to be sharp and cognitively, very, with it. And then it can help other areas of the body. I can't wait to see some of the stuff of like heart and some bone mineral density, data.
Yeah.
That's all kind of coming out.
That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
We need stuff for the bone density.
Yeah.
All the things.
And I like it because that's two-pronged, right? It's like you can help increase those phosphocreatines in the bone, so we can go in there, hopefully increase bone mineral density. But when people are exercising and they have more muscle on their frames, their bones get stronger, right? That like load-bearing activity from training and then having more muscle.
Yeah.
That'll help the bones strengthen up as well.
Okay.
So you're going to get it both ways.
Cool.
Great.
That's great.
So yeah. So yeah, it's a great ingredient. I mean, it's definitely well researched. It's been around. There's just been a lot of confusion over the last, 25 years. But I think it's been becoming more clear its safety, who it could be used for, which is a wide range of people, but never kind of jumping over a good lifestyle and already exercise, performance, and
Right.
balanced diet and sleep and mindfulness.
Well, so we always finish our episodes with the two questions, and we've asked you this before, but I bet you can come up with something original today for
Okay,
us. Would you do
sure.
that with
Yeah.
us? Okay.
I think I can try.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, for given today's topic, is there one takeaway that you would give people, like maybe one action item that they can do after they listen to this episode?
I do think giving yourself a 1 month trial of using creatine monohydrate, but some kind of measurement system, whether that's you're measuring muscle, whether that you're measuring rep max, whether that's measuring how fast you can go a sprint and how long you can sustain that. You can't necessarily see it as well unless you're doing some kind of tracking. And I'm really about the data side of it, is you doing a personal, what does day one look like on doing a exercise training, or day one of your how much muscle mass or how much fat mass you have on your frame versus day 30. It is no need to really change too much in the exercise or what you're eating or drinking, and then kind of see the benefits. That to me, the tracking element of it can have long-term sustainable, support versus just like, I'm going to take something and I think it's working or I think it's not. You got to track some kind of element to see if this is working for you or not.
Okay, take it for a month and track it. Track
Yes,
its
advice.
progress.
because that's
Yeah.
after that month, that's when they're fully saturated. If you're doing 3 to 5 grams, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for you to be completely saturated the phosphocreatine stores
Okay.
in the muscles.
Okay,
Cool.
great.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah.
All right, Kevin. Here at the Digestible Podcast, we'd like to say, don't panic, just pivot. Would you like to share a newer pivot with us that you're proud of?
A newer pivot. Not being afraid to expand out and things that are challenging for the brain. One of those was for me trying a new language, which was Japanese. No familiarity at all with it, and had always kind of used typical apps that are online just to kind of teach you different, foreign languages. And I've been using AI and ChatGPT for that because I feel like the immersion principle associated with learning a new language is a lot different than you just like cue cards and like doing the app and just pressing the buttons. Like you have to actually speak back and forth to it. So for me, I've kind of gone away from retraining my brain one typical way into doing more an immersion type of system. And I really feel it's been working. So as much as AI is changing everything, it can definitely change the way my neurons in my brain are used, working towards learning new things like a new language.
That's
I think
great.
that's great.
Yeah.
And if you have all that creatine on board, your brain's probably nice and sharp.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
It's great
Yeah,
to see you
this
again.
is great. Likewise.
Thanks for your expertise. Thank you for listening to the Digestible Podcast with today's guest, Kevin Finnegan from Zymogen. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share us with others. It's the best compliment you can give us. If you have comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at info@digestiblestrategies.com. We look forward to hearing from you, and remember, don't panic, just pivot. The content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not medical professionals, and the views expressed here are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any health conditions. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any health-related decisions.